The day has come. Rolling this outside, gonna fire it up. Let's see how it goes. All right, the honest first start attempt. Fuel is on. Choke is on. Throttle's fucked up. All right, we're going for take 2 on the official start attempt. Choke is on. 3 or 4 squirts with the accelerator pump. A couple of kicks to suck it all in. Ooh, let's get it out of gear. There we go. Open the throttle to suck it all in. And let's go for it and see what happens. Damn. All right, choke on. 3 or 4 squirts. Throttle open. Kill switch engaged. Damn, would have thought I had something by now. All right, so let's try this again. So why was this motorcycle such a giant pain in the balls to get running? This Magneto is no good. When the bike was originally brought in, the owner said he'd kick it and it wouldn't spark. I kicked it a few times and wouldn't spark either. Originally, he wanted second gear fixed and the bike gotten running, okay? So I took the Magneto out and I've tested them on my lathe back there. I spin them. I got a tack on the lathe so I know how fast it's going, and I have spark plugs set up in a pressurized chamber so I could see that it sparked. Anyway, I had taken the Magneto all apart, cleaned it up, cleaned the points, you know, checked all the connections, greased the bearings, and really saw nothing wrong with it. The coil, when you own the coil out, and this is an original Fairbanks Morse, it's got a primary winding resistance of 0.4, secondary coil resistance of 13K. The coils are not shorted to each other, and the secondary is not shorted to ground. Coil electrically seems to check good, okay? Put it on the lathe, spun it, and son of a bitch, because I wrote the numbers on the mag when I was doing it, this mag was producing spark at 178 RPM with 70 PSI in my pressurized spark chamber. And I happen to have at the same time this was here, 4 mags in the shop here. And I'm doing a video about magnetos, and I'm going to show you the more detailed findings on it. But this is exceptionally good. Exceptionally good. 178 at 70 PSI. There are few magnetos I've ever tested that will produce a spark at that low of RPM and at that high of a pressure. Seemingly, there was nothing wrong with this. Why didn't it spark for the owner? Why didn't it spark for me initially? I'll just attribute it to, you know, dirty points. or whatever. But anyway, kind of nodded a little bit and shook my head and said, well, one of them things, it should be good. And then of course ran into problems with the tappets, had to rebuild the whole engine, yada yada. Got to be a huge project instead of a small project. Put it all back together again, and as you saw, kicked until my gonads fell off. Jesus, it would not start. Every once in a blue moon it'd fart, and I think I got it running once or twice. Once or twice out of 50 kicks is not a good average. But anyway, this Magneto was good. No good. Well, it seemed to be good, but it would not start the bike. Any objective method of testing said it should spark the bike, yet it would not. Talked it over with the owner, and I was going to replace the coil and the magnet. This Magneto has some internal structural problems. There's the ring, the snap ring that holds the lower bearing in here was completely broken out, and there was kind of a homemade retainer in there that actually looked like it worked pretty good. I mean, functionally, it should not have interfered with the spark. The upper bearing support here has got a corner cracked off. Not a big deal, but functionally, it should not spark. Anyway, I told the owner, I says, I'm not going to let you sink that kind of money into this Magneto, even though the structural defects really should not interfere with it producing spark. The owner came up with this. This mag, I believe he said he thought was off of a Norton. It is a Joe Hunt mag. And just FYI, this snap ring here and this groove that it goes in, this whole thing was broken off on the other one. But anyway, of course, this isn't going to fit on a Harley. The mounting arrangement is completely different. But I told him that I thought I could machine this all off of there, flatten it out, drill the holes for the Harley style base, and I could make this base work on this mag, put all the new parts in a solid case, and have one good mag come out of it. He opted instead, and that bearing is locked up, he opted instead to buy a brand new Joe Hunt Magneto. Well, like I said, I had 4 mags in the shop at one time, and I ran them all through my testing procedure. The Joe Hunt Magneto would produce a spark at 250 RPMs at 50 PSI. So this mag, by my method of measuring, should have been better than the Joe Hunt. But anyway, install the Joe Hunt on there, and it sparked from the get-go. I can't explain it. I don't know. But anyway, this process took several weeks. I went out of town for a week. The owner took some time weighing his decisions. A brand new Magneto is $1,000. So, this is not a decision to be taken lightly. And, I'm kind of loath to tell a customer, oh, you need a new Magneto. But when I look at this Magneto and test it, I can't find anything wrong with it. I should be able to find something wrong with it. And I think I did. You'll have to watch the video on Magnetos when I get it ready to go. But I think what I found was that the magnet was weak. But why would this one produce a spark at 178 RPMs and the Joe Hunt had to go up to 200? This one won't start the engine, the Joe Hunt will. Unexplainable, in my opinion. But anyway, that's what I found. So we got a new Magneto on it. And, yeah, well, that was the nature. I mean, there were other little things along the way. Like, for example, after I got the Joe Hunt in there, the carburetor decided that the accelerator pump wasn't going to pump anymore. Some little shit like that went on, but not a big deal. But anyway, don't know what to say. Bad Magneto. Well, as you saw, yeah, it finally runs. Runs good. I don't know. There's 2 little drops of oil underneath it. I don't know. Maybe something's leaking a little bit. I'm not concerned about it. Really, it runs basically pretty good. Very happy with it. Ready to give it back to the owner and wrap this project up. I do want to have some final thoughts on this thing as a motorcycle. So let's take a close look at some of the things that irritate the shit out of me. Number one thing that irritates the shit out of me is the foot peg is behind the kickstart lever. So when you kick it, you're going to hit this thing, unless, of course, you fold it up. Well, there's no spring in it, son of a bitch. And if you get it up at the top of the stroke and you come down on it with all your might and this flops over, you're going to hurt yourself. The early Sportsters that had that passenger peg thing bolted to the back of the engine mount had a peg very similar to this, and they had a spring that held it up out of the way so you wouldn't kill yourself when you were trying to kickstart it. Number one thing that bothers me. Number two thing that bothers me. Since the foot peg is back here, you couldn't reach the gear shift lever, which the gear shift lever, the end of it is normally around here somewhere. Well, there's no easy provision on the Norton frame for mounting foot pegs. So the owner opted to drill a hole back here, stick the foot peg in there, turn the gear shift lever around, cut it off. Yeah, it works. The trouble of it is when you put your foot on the peg, this part right here is not in your toe. It's like where your ankle meets your leg, and the leverage isn't right. The only way I could shift this thing is to take my foot completely off the peg and lift it up and push it down. Kind of an awkward shifting moment. Plus, the lever being shorter, you have less leverage on the shifter, and it kind of has destroyed the sensitivity. So finding neutral on this thing is a real bitch. Of course, some Sportsters, it's just hard to find neutral on it. If it was my bike, I'd turn it back around. I'd figure out some way of putting a foot peg down in here where it belongs so that it shifts decent. Number three thing that bugs me. This is the manual retard for the Magneto. And Harley, on the bikes that originally have this would be a solid piece of piano wire so it pushes and pulls. This is stranded so it's flexible. It could only pull. Hence, there's a spring on the cable to push the Magneto in the full advanced position. The spring needs to be stronger. If I had one laying around here that was stronger, I'd probably put it in for the guy, but I don't. I think he used, and on a Harley, the piano wire would have been operated by an internal throttle type grip on the left handlebar, which this bike doesn't have. So I think he's using an old Triumph or Norton choke lever on the handlebars. Up here, this thing, that's what he's using to operate the retard. And it works good, it retards it, but it doesn't want to hold the mag. The spring is not really strong enough to hold it in the full advanced position. So your timing is probably floating around while you're going down the road, and probably not desirable, but these are things that I could spend hours working on, and at my labor rate it gets pretty expensive. This is owner equity kind of stuff. If he's got enough mechanical ingenuity to put this engine in this frame and weld up all the mounts, he could fix this stuff. Okay, what am I up to? Number four? The other thing that bugs me is the fender is attached to this loop, which is common on English motorcycles. Anyway, the fender is attached to the loop, and the loop is attached to these two screws. Well, the loop needs more screws in it. I mean, it needs something to, it needs at least two screws in here or be welded or something. So this whole thing is loose. So of course the exhaust pipe is loose. Something's going to break here and fall off. What exactly, I don't know. But once again, the owner put this together. That wasn't part of my job to fix that. Okay, what am I up to? 5. The other thing that bugs me is this is some kind of cheap-ass plastic throttle grip. And I can't tighten it enough to prevent the whole throttle from rotating on here. And that just bugs the shit out of me. When I have a bike, the grips need to be 100% secure to the handlebars. I think it's a safety thing. Anyway, it's not. He needs to get himself a quality throttle grip that doesn't rotate on the handlebars. So what am I up to? 6, the gauges. The original mag had a tack drive on it. The Joe Hunt does not. I removed the cable because it was just flopping in the breeze. There's nowhere to attach the N2 on the Joe Hunt mag, so you may as well lose the tack. The speedometer is busted. I don't know whether it works or not. Well, I know that it doesn't work because the end of the cable is flopping in the breeze down here. The cable housing pulled out of the ferrule, so it doesn't work either. Get rid of the gauges. Nobody looks at the gauges anyway. I don't know whether the switch is hooked up or not, but anyway, that's 6, I think. All right, what am I up to? 8. The choke cable housing. This is the kind of choke that should have the solid tube, and it's got a flexible cable guide on it. So, okay, the choke closes just fine, but because the cable is flexible, it doesn't always push it all the way open. So sometimes you got to help it push the choke open. What are we at, number 9? The front end. You might have heard in the video of this thing driving, the clunk. It's bottomed out. I assume there's no oil in it. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I'm going to leave that up to the owner to sort out. And he had commented to me when he dropped it off that he thought the handling was not quite what it should be. And I agree with him. It's like, well, this is an 18-inch tire. It probably should be a 19-inch tire. Anything that raises the front end is going to give it a little more rake. And I think it needs a little more rake because the front end kind of wanders a little bit. I didn't go very fast on this thing, but the faster you go, I think the worse it'll probably get. So it needs a little more rake, and maybe that means a bigger wheel, longer fork tubes. You know, you can't really change the rake of the frame. But yeah, the front end needs some work. You know, probably needs a rebuild. You know, maybe longer tubes. You know, like an inch, maybe 2 inches at the most. I think probably would help it. But yeah, the front end is a little funky. I really like this double leading shoe brake. I think it can be real nice. When I squeeze the lever right now, the lever goes all the way to the grip. So you know, it needs some adjusting. And, you know, once again, the owner equity could take care of this. Yeah, anyway, that's the brake. Brake front end needs a little work. What are we at, 10? This has got a adjustable jet Bendix in it, adjustable main jet Bendix, which I like Bendix carbs on Harleys. I think they work pretty good. I know some people say they suck, but I like them. The trouble with this is the idle speed screw is way the fuck up under here, and I can't turn this with my fingers. This bike sat for quite a while before I got my hands on it. It was from the Gulf Coast to Texas, and I think everything is a little bit corroded, including the adjustment screw in the carb body. You can't reach the idle adjustment screw because of the ginormous Norton gas tank. So anyway, you know, despite these shortfalls on the chassis, this really could be a nice motorcycle. Given some attention to some of the details on it, yeah, this could be really nice. I'm really impressed with the way the whole package looks on it. It makes a nice installation. You know, a few things I would have done differently, a few things I would have improved on. But really, basically, a pretty good deal here. This thing really proved to be a pain in my nuts. You know, the project started going in one direction, and then it changed direction. The whole engine had to come out. The rebuild was complicated and expensive. You know, welding the trans countershaft area on the crankcase. You know, it just was problematic. This was not an easy rebuild by any means. But anyway, yeah, it's done. I'm glad it's done. It's ready for owner pickup. And with that, I am out of here. See y'all later. Bye. Just a quick reminder. You can help support and grow this channel, first of all and most importantly, by hitting that subscribe button. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to do a little more, join me on Patreon. Links down below. So go ahead and join me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And finally, coffee cups, stickers, and gas tank covers are available. This is a new design coffee cup. I like the old ones, but I like these new ones even better. Links will be provided in the description down below. get yourself some. And thank you all ever so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Bye.